Alright, so it is time for my September wrap-up. Unfortunately, I only read 2 books in September, so this is going to be more of a short video. So, the first book is The Hidden Witch, which is the second book in the Witch Boy series. It's a YA middle grade, I'd say probably more middle grade-ish, graphic novel about a boy that lives in a magical family. Now, typically, boys are shapeshifters and girls are witches. But he has a hard time shapeshifting. He can't really do it at all. And he is more interested in witchcraft, which in the first book had some controversy, you know, in his family, some issues and everything, because in their family, boys are shapeshifters, girls are witches, and it's always been that way. And when they try different magic, sometimes bad things happen. So obviously it's kind of, you know, symbolic about fitting into gender stereotypes and stuff like that. And I thought the first one was really well done. So in this book, Aster is continuing his journey into the craft, learning with his grandmother and trying to take care of his uncle. I believe it was his uncle who did magic years ago and kind of became like something bad, like a bad entity kind of thing, and that's why they were really hard pressed about the whole gender rule thing. So he's learning magic, he's trying to, you know, keep his uncle from doing things and reverting back to his old ways. And then one of his non-magical friends ends up getting a curse on her, and then there's a new girl at their school that's kind of, I guess you would say, mysterious. I thought this one was well done. I guess I like it as much as the first one. It's a fun concept, interesting characters, good and cute artwork, and I will be continuing the series. The next one is Wanted the Haunted Mask. So there's a Wanted Goosebumps series, but this one isn't like #1 or whatever. I think this one was just like a book on its own, and then he decided, I think, just to do a Wanted series. So yeah, this is kind of just like its own individual thing. So this book actually has 3 parts, kind of like 3 individual stories, but they all tie together at some point. So the first part is like a prologue, and it's about a man who runs like a mask shop, but you know, he only has like kid-friendly masks, and then his brother comes with, you know, the haunted mask, you know, from like the other books and everything, or we're assuming that's what it is. And the mask is obviously scary and ugly, and he doesn't want to have anything to do with it, and they kind of get into a fight, and, you know, I'm not going to go into too much detail about that to ruin anything, but then the second part is there are 2 friends. I forget their names. I think one is Devin, and I'm drawing a blank on the girl's name. But anyways, they're friends. And there's this one girl that's kind of annoying, and she always has like this Halloween party that's kind of boring, I guess, or stupid. But I guess people just kind of go and, you know, just be nice to her or whatever, that kind of thing. And she doesn't really want to go because she knows it's going to be not to her liking. While her friend, he is going away like on a farm type thing with his family. So the first half of their story starts with her going to this girl's party, and they end up, I think, in the attic and finding the haunted mask there, right? In that scenario, that kind of reminded me more of like a Slappy kind of book, going up to the attic, opening like a trunk and finding something. Typically when that happens, they end up finding something like Slappy or whatever. But in this one, they find the haunted mask. And of course, as the usual haunted mask stories go, she ends up putting it on and she cannot take it off. And she ends up ruining this girl's party. Everyone's mad at her because obviously the mask makes you mean. And I believe somebody, and it was somebody's father, and I can't remember whose, but I think either he's running that mask shop now or he's got his own party store. I can't remember exactly, but he knows what the mask is. And he basically ends up telling her that the only thing that's going to remove it is an act of kindness. So she goes around trying to be kind, but the mask is... Oh my god, I hate... I think he's flipping, sorry. She keeps going around with the mask and trying to do kind acts, but nothing is working. And then we get into the second half of the story with her friend, and his family is basically trying to sell pumpkins, or they're like on a pumpkin patch kind of thing, right? I think there's some other stuff there, but they're like working a pumpkin patch, and weird things start happening. He thinks like the pumpkins are like moving because he's like grossed out by pumpkins. And, he thinks like the vines are moving on its own, and then he hears like this kind of story, legend or whatever from a neighbor about, people that died there. If I remember correctly, it was like a burial ground or something, or like a cemetery, and they like put the farm or the pumpkin patch over it after they moved people. I believe that's how the story went, so it's like haunted and stuff like that. And of course there's a twist with that. And then the two kids' stories, they end up merging together like at the very end. The second story, because you didn't hear from the friend that's a girl, I want to say her name's Luann. Because you didn't hear really much from her, like at all in that one, it's almost as if the second one could have just been a story on its own. Like, if they would not have put that type of ending and tied it all together, you never would have known, that it was all one story. It was interesting. It took me a little bit to get used to. I wasn't sure how I felt about it because of that. It was just something different. But I thought it tied together well. It just really felt like the second part could have just been, or the third part, I guess, could have just been really its own story. So, that is my September wrap-up. Let me know if you guys read either of these, and if you like Goosebumps, what's your favorite? Me, that's hard to choose. But I really like Legend of the Lost Legend. Anyways, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.